I heard about the Alamo. I heard about the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire. I heard about all kinds of disasters in which people died. But I had never heard about this thing that happened in 1921, only 3 years before my dad was born. In the same year that Donna Reed was born, we didn't hear about this thing that happened in which essentially one of the most successful Black communities in America, Black Wall Street, in which everybody was not only burned out of their homes and their businesses, but then driven out of the city limits by an angry mob of, I'm sorry, white people. How is it that this was not taught to me? Because I tell you, at the age of 10, when I was in 5th grade, living in Oakland, California, that would have been a moment of enlightenment for me. That would have told me something very, very different about the city I lived in, not just American history or the city of Tulsa. And it made me mad. It made me mad that somebody had somehow made an editorial process of what was appropriate for us to learn about our own American history. It made me angry that it took until I was I'm 60. I'll be 66 just about 2 weeks after Juneteenth. I'll turn 66, and it took me 64. It took me 54 years in order to find this out. It's not right. It's not right, and it's doing a disservice to all of America in order to not point out some very, very simple, and dare I say it, facts that can be accepted. I don't want to overuse the word dispassionately, but it can be used dispassionately. That's what happened. Nobody alive today is guilty over of it. Nobody alive today is to blame for it, except perhaps the people who said, let's not talk about that.
Tom Hanks talking about Black history, American history. He's right about that, because you can't have American history without Black history. We know that. But it's really interesting to hear a Black history moment. I got a thought on that. And I think Austin's going to join us soon, but I'm going to tell you my thought. And there's Austin.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing well. Now that you're here.
Welcome back.
Tell me about it. Austin's texting me I'm always traversing Europe, and he's texting me, hey, brother. I'm like, oh my gosh, Austin. No,
I wanted to make sure you didn't forget about me. Now I know you're having a good time.
Yeah, I was trying to forget about you while I was over here, though, to be honest with you.
Let me just do what I can to annoy him and remind him. But I was also I was telling you, are you two having a good time? Are you having a good time, Stacy?
That was secondary, though.
Not really. I think it's about interpretation.
So I want to talk about, and we're going to talk about this later. I'm not going to go into it right now, but I'm going to give you my thoughts on Monique. We talked about Monique with the ladies, but there was so over the weekend she performed. We're going to talk about that. And she gave an interesting apology to Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry. An apology, let's put it in the air quotes, but it was responding to a couple of folks, including Stephen A. Smith. But we'll get into that. But of course, the big story is the Super Bowl. And what a game, Austin Cooper. And of course, the Usher performed, and the reviews are not that great, but I'm not a big Usher fan. I don't dislike Usher. I mean, he's got some great, my son, absolutely, when he was like, almost his first words that he spoke, he was singing the song, yeah. So, but anyway, we're going to talk about Usher's performance. I'll tell you right now, because I'm going to forget, Austin. What impressed me was him dancing on that grass, the way he was dancing on the field and not on the stage. That was impressive to me. And so we'll talk about that. We're going to also talk about the ridiculousness, staying with the Super Bowl, the ridiculousness of the New York Times' big expose on the quote unquote Travis Kelce fade, as if he invented. And then Travis Kelce and his brother Jason had some fun with it, but they said something that ought to be alarming. And it makes the New York Times article all the more appalling and almost make you want to vomit. We're going to talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this morning, Austin. headlined by some classic hip hop acts, Eric B. and Rakim, A Tribe Called Quest. The Mary J. Blige, also a nominee for the 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We'll get into that this morning, but we start with the big game. The Super Bowl could have been, maybe it was Usher's star-studded halftime show that inspired the Chiefs. Maybe it was just the fact that Pat Mahomes is just who he is. Whatever it was, Pat Mahomes again proved why he's worth every single penny of his mega $500 million plus contract. Third Super Bowl in 4 years. It showed that they could talk about Taylor Swift and Travis all they want. It all comes down to what's on the field. And Austin, I don't know. You're not really a big sports fan, right?
I'm not a big football fan, but I did watch the game last night. You know, I can't say that I was rooting for one team over the other. I just wanted to see a good game, and I think we all got a good game. You know, it was not a blowout. It was close. I think that both sides, you know, played their respective hearts out, and the Chiefs came out on top. So it was that's really what I wanted, and I didn't want to see any serious injuries on either side. But
Yeah.
it was, you know, I mean, you can't say, you know, I guess watching the game last night, I understood again just how exciting, the game can be.
Yeah. Well,
And
it was an exciting game. It was interesting because I kept watching and that first half, in fact, when Kansas City finally kicked the field goal before they went into the locker room at the half to cut the lead to 10-3. And I said before the score 10-3, before that, I said the way this game is going, if San Francisco doesn't build a big enough lead in this first half, Kansas City's going to win this game because San Francisco totally dominated the first half. I mean, defense, Brock Purdy on offense, and that offensive that offense of the 49ers was dominating, yet only scored 10 points. And I thought that was really a major key because they seem to have Kansas City a little out of sorts. We saw Travis Kelce grabbing and berating the head coach. And that was like, wow, what's going on? Kansas City's totally in meltdown mode.
yeah, and how many times was Mahoney sacked? I mean, again, I'm not a football one who watches it, but it seems like he was on the ground a lot.
He was pressured a lot. He was pressured a lot in that game, and it seems like this the 49ers were just on. They were just on their way to a Super Bowl championship. The way things were unfolding, but I kept going back to this is it. 10-3 going into the locker room. Kansas City gets the ball to come out of the half. And I kept thinking, wow, wait a minute now. They setting themselves up here. And then, of course, pivotal in overtime, that 4th and 1. The game, it was right there. 4th and 1. If San Francisco stops Kansas City, the game's over. And literally over because the overtime rules, Kansas City had already scored in overtime. I mean, San Francisco had already scored the field goal in overtime.
Mm-hmm.
And the other team gets the ball. It used to be that first to score in overtime wins, but the new rules is that both teams get to touch the ball on offense. And so this was 4th and 1, 4th in the season for Kansas City. And of course, Pat Mahomes was able to deliver and then bring them all the way downfield. And that last play for the touchdown was absolutely
like in the last 3 seconds or so, last 5 seconds they scored.
Well, it was the first quarter of overtime because you remember it becomes a whole new 4 quarters if necessary. But it was absolutely incredible. And here's the thing with the Super Bowl: it used to be that, like, and you said this just a few minutes ago. You talked about you wanted a good game. It used to be so many Super Bowls were blowouts. The NFL was so concerned about that, and so was everyone else concerned about that. And this was the game that they couldn't have designed better as far as the big offices of the NFL. I'm looking at Power 96 saying that the only question that remains is, will Mahomes pass Tom Brady? Pat is only 28 years old. Yeah, this is his fourth time at the Super Bowl. Brady had 10 Super Bowl appearances. So, hey, this guy, if they continue.
How many Super Bowls did Brady win?
How many did he win? 5? He won
Okay,
5 Super Bowls
I heard 5.
and appeared in 10.
Okay.
And which is unbelievable to think about. I mean, you got thousands and thousands upon players who play their whole careers and never get to touch the Super Bowl.
Yep.
And this guy 10, and now Mahomes at such a young age. He won 7. Brady won 7 Super Bowls. Power 96. You're probably right. Yeah, 7 Super Bowls. Wow.
Okay. So Mahomes cut out for him.
Yeah. And before we get to the halftime show, I will say, and I don't know if Totally Randy is up this morning, if she has awakened. I'm sure she's on cloud 9. What a way to drop a new album is how Beyonce did it last night. That whole Verizon thing, it wasn't just a commercial, y'all. If y'all didn't notice, she dropped a new album last night, a country album at that. So she's you know what? Good for her, because once again, it shows that why they are doing the most with Taylor Swift, because of that woman there from Houston, Beyonce, dropping that album the way she dropped it with the Verizon appearance. That was awesome. I don't know if you caught it, Austin.
I missed that. So I'm sitting here saying, "Wow, Beyonce dropped an album."
Yeah, she did, and the
She's
commercial.
Country, so she tried to cut into that Taylor base.
Hey.
How you feel about that, Stacey?
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. She don't need to cut into that Taylor base. I'm not even a Beyonce fan. Now you got me having to speak up for Beyonce. But Beyonce did do, I mean, that commercial was awesome. I will say that commercial they ran last. It was, we used to talk about, that's the one thing that everybody looked forward to with the Super Bowl was the commercials.
Yeah,
but it was really awesome, right? That's right. You didn't see it, but no, it was awesome. She kept talking about what the guy was telling her, whether she broke the internet or not. And he kept saying, no. And she's like, did I break you?
Some of those commercials. I know the one that and don't get your sore spot is Taylor Swift. Mine is RFK Jr. So I was quite surprised to see the RFK commercial. I read what it was. I think it was 30 seconds for $7 million.
Goodness grief. That's only you have that type of money.
I wish. I wish.
Oh my gosh. But Jackson State University's band showed up and showed out at halftime.
They were moving, they were playing. Excellent.
Yeah. But the commercial was the Beyonce commercial, I would say was really off the chain. Even as a non-fan, I was impressed in a major way with that commercial. I thought she did a fantastic job. And speaking of the halftime show, David Youngblood said the RFK commercial was quite innovative. The halftime show, let me turn the volume down a little bit, make sure that Sinead's not listening. But I didn't realize, we saw her we saw Alicia Keys in concert last summer, right? It was a whole crew of. I didn't realize how put together Alicia Keys is.
No, she's absolutely
when I read, I was like, listen.
And what about that piano? I mean, talk about
forget the piano. Let's talk about Alicia Keys. Let's talk about the instrument playing.
I'm trying to save you. Trying to change the topic.
I'm already in hot water. I heard her laughing back here, so I might as well just
I tried.
You can't be a little pregnant. You got to be totally pregnant. So I can't be a little in trouble. I might as well get totally in trouble. And Usher, I'm thinking, what's Swiss Beats? I'm like, hey, back up a little bit, Usher. Back up. That's why he tried to get Kiki in trouble last year. But I said, my goodness, I never realized that Alicia Keys, she's a little hot thing.
Absolutely.
Look at Sinead. Oh Lord. Janae said, Alicia
What did
got
Shanae
booty
say?
for days, not new.
What did Shanae say?
Look, she wrote it. Ali- she says Alicia got booty for days, not new. I mean, look, that's that red outfit and that red piano. It was hot.
Yeah.
I was like, I was laying there. I was like, and I stood up. I was like, oh,
You stood up, not got up. Stood up.
she really is a New York girl. look, yeah, Swiss B said, hey, chill. Southbound 3000 said he won't even be jealous. No, he's not gonna be jealous. I mean, look, hey, what can you say? Uh, why are you still on Alicia Keys, Austin? You're trying to really, I mean, you should have been moved on by now. Why are you still on Alicia Keys?
I'm just trying to be supportive of you and your show.
Now, what about Usher? Like Usher, I thought Usher, the dancing on the field to me was impressive. I don't care what people say about the show. As Greer points out, that black people love the show. So I look at Mr. Durrett. Quinn is chiming in. He says, "How come no one told Jermaine Dupri to not wear that small outfit?" I thought he was what's his name at first? What's that little short, chubby rap guy? Rapper.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize that was him until
Right.
And what were you doing with those Bobby socks? What do you call those socks? like low around the ankle with the little
I
ball
thought it was
wearing.
what's his name? The one at CeeLo. I thought he was CeeLo Green at first. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Check out them socks.
But I was like, Jermaine, what's going on with you? He made himself look like a midget or something. That's not a good word, right? Midget. You're not supposed to say midget. Little person.
Yeah.
But
Small talent.
the outfits were off the chain, and Usher loves his roller skates, don't he?
Yeah, I mean that to me was the best part when they all were roller skating. I'm like, wow, now that takes some talent, and they were all in sync. I got to tell you, something about Usher's moves that that seem old and jaded.
They say what? Say that one more time.
I said the thing about Usher's moves and the shifting of the feet, it's cool to watch, but and it's always been cool to watch. And Lord knows I couldn't come anywhere near moving the way he does. But it's something about his moves that strike me as old and jaded. I know I may probably get in trouble with some folks, in a way that Michael Jackson.
I was getting ready to say that's probably why it feels that way. He did the whole Michael Jackson bit with the glove and everything.
Yeah.
And he's paying. I guess that's his way of paying tribute
homage.
to acknowledging Michael. But Usher's, just be happy being Usher.
Yeah.
I would.
No, he's got talent now.
She says, Joni King says JD was ready for Easter. But he brought out her. It was my daughter Talia hipped us to her. At least she hipped me to her. I didn't know nothing about her, and Talia is a big fan of her. But the one thing about Usher, I'll say this. I mean, with all of the A-listers he brought out, what he gave the people was what they, at least his fans, he gave them what they came for. He gave them all of his classic hits.
Yeah.
And I like that in an artist. Prince did the same thing when because what they try to do in a forum like this, what artists many times try to do in a forum like this is, bring out their new stuff that not many people are familiar with, right? Usher, and then that little move right there, that's a Marvin Gaye. I was like, look, he's doing Marvin Gaye with the Michael Jackson glove on.
Yeah. No, it was a really good performance. I really liked how he brought out I guess some of the some of the younger talent, some of the different talent. So last night's show, I think had something for everybody.
Yeah, I think so too. We watched. It was my wife and my two youngest girls. They were all. they don't care about football at all. It was all about the halftime show, and it was all. And she's right. Greer mentions too. You see all the musicians, the dancers. It was an all black production.
Yeah, yeah.
It was pretty incredible. You know, the one thing, whether you like it or not, him or not, you can't take away that talent. You know, he is ultra talented. And David Youngblood said, "How about that Jackson State Band? Absolutely.
Yeah. They were.
How about that?"
But you know, the thing about Usher, and just you know, I mean, my previous comment was in no way meant to take away from his talent. I mean, this guy is really talented, and the way he moves.
Also, listen,
repetitive. I mean, you see how after like halfway through his first dance, like maybe 30 seconds in, he was in a full sweat.
Oh yeah, and Aunt Pam says she wants that last outfit, the blue and black one. Here's the other thing, and I mentioned Prince earlier, and Prince would appreciate this. Usher was singing on most of the thing. He was actually singing. That wasn't lip syncing. Many go to the Super Bowl, and that's what happens too, because of the stage, you know, being in that open arena, open stadium like that, and all those people. But Usher, actually, you heard Usher's voice. I mean, there were some backing tracks, but he was carrying it for the most part. And so I appreciate live singing, live.
Yeah, the one person who I thought was going to make an appearance, and not say that I, you know, missed, although he's also talented, was it Justin Bieber?
Yeah, so there was talk. Justin Bieber
him,
apparently arrived there with the Kardashians, and it was talk that he was going to perform. Didn't miss anything. I'm glad he didn't.
Who'd you say he arrived with?
The Kardashians. Do you know those people?
You mean the Kardashians? But you
mean the Kardashians?
That's what you said. I'm like, wait, what Kardashian? Okay, I've never heard that.
OMG. And speaking of those folks, I don't want to go too far on this, but Kanye melted down again. I mean, album release, a listening party, and this guy goes in on Jewish people and other people. And I'm thinking, come on, this is just, it's way overboard. It's way too much. And he, you know, and they unearthed the whole, him and Taylor Swift, the whole beef again, you know, with the phone call that Kim Kardashian altered to make Taylor seem like she was accepting of Kanye, you know, what he said about her and this. I mean, it's just horrible. You know, it's time that we all move on from the artist formerly known as Kanye West.
You know,
all the money on the commercial spot, we actually didn't spend any money on the actual commercial. But the idea is, I want you to go to Yeezy.com, YEEZY.com, and I'm gonna write it at the bottom of the screen. And I got some shoes, and that's it.
You know, Kanye's a reminder that no matter how talented you are, you certainly cannot take away his talent as a, you know, as a producer, as a singer, as a performer. But he's nuts. He's absolute nuts. I mean, did you see his mouth?
Yes.
In news a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago, where he had all of his teeth removed.
Yes.
In order to put bronze teeth.
Yes.
He looks nuts every time he opens his mouth.
Let's just have the service. And officially mourn the loss of Kanye West.
He's been gone for a while.
Yes.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, he said something anti-Semitic, then he apologized, and then he circles back, and he's like Trump. You know, just has to be in the news, and if he's not in the news, he's going to say something offensive or nuts to put himself back front and center.
Greer says that he's been he's claiming to have been blackballed and can't book stadiums anymore.
You think? I wonder why.
You think? Right.
Who's to blame? Who's to blame?
Because see, and this is a lesson. See, so you know, black folks don't own these stadiums and stuff like that, right? These are people who are telling you, and this is a lesson for all of us. They're telling you all money ain't good money, and they're not touching you, Kanye. They're not touching you, because if you book Kanye, you still, regardless, you're gonna sell out. But they're saying, you know what?
Too risky for our reputation.
Yeah, not going there. Like I said, the artist formerly known as Kanye West. We mourn the loss of the Kanye West, of the creative Kanye West, et cetera, et cetera. Power 96. That's what happens when you mess with that mayonnaise. No, when you mess with those people out there, the Jenner Kardashian class, when you start messing with them, that's what happens. This guy, he's crazy. I'm sorry, y'all. He's crazy.
You know, and his you see, he and his girlfriend coming out, and she just has on these outlandish.
This is a
outfits.
right.
I mean,
well, he says
who walks out of the who walks around their respective homes dressed like that, much less come out in public.
He said at the end of last year that she would not wear pants this year at all. She would not wear bottoms. That apparently includes skirts and dresses. It's just underwear, and most of it is like thong or string bikini underwear that she walks around in public with, and barely anything covering her little breast.
Yeah,
very little breast. So, look at Angela Connolly is getting upset with us, Austin. She's saying, I'm going to ask this question again with capitalized letters. And then again in capitalized letters, where's Barrington? Barrington is probably preparing. I think he did see already the One Love, the movie on, gosh, you know who I'm talking about. Bob Marley.
Okay.
I think I saw a picture of Barrington. I think he posted a thing when I was away.
Yeah.
Him and his wife went to see One Love. Awesome. And yes, as Greer, the boss, has spoken. She says he'll be back soon. Does that answer your question? They're trying to influence the younger generation to dress as such, says Joni King. I don't know who you gonna influence to dress. They're not dressing. It's not
no.
Kanye's wearing a sock over his face, and this is what she's wearing.
Who would allow that other half, if you even remotely care about her, to come out in public?
This is why that reporter, or that person, I should say, from TMZ asked that question. I mean, she could have done it differently and perhaps got the answer, she saw it or not. But did the wife have free will? I mean, this is a question that everybody wonders. That what kind of spell he has on her? Is she that weak of a woman to be dominated in such a way where her husband tells her you can't wear clothes? It's incredible. Yeah. I'm sure he dictates what she eats, what she drinks, etc., etc.
And I'm sure that she knew that before she connected with him. I mean, this is not talent. This is not talent, not nuttiness that he is displaying with his girlfriend for the first time. I mean, this is going to be going on for years.
Greer reminds us that Kanye says, "How dare you ask a superhero that question?" He called himself a superhero when he was yelling at that lady. But I mean, she's wearing plastic bags. It's so inhumane. And I gotta say it because I know those other people are gonna say it. If Kanye was white and she was black, it would be a problem. It would be a problem. And so Kanye, that's the thing. Listen, somebody needs to stop this. It's long been a train wreck. The train has left the station and crashed many times already.
The train crashes and it's rebuilt, and he just crashes again.
Angela Connolly said that woman is a sacrifice to the devil. Oh my gosh.
Oh wow. What Angela says? Repeat that.
That's what Angela said. Oh my gosh. Boy, oh boy. And Power 96 believes that she'll divorce him and take half of his money. There's probably a ironclad prenup that she appears the type that she ran and signed it herself, probably suggested it herself. I mean, she's got to just be happy to be in that crowd and with him. I don't see how, because I can only imagine what he puts her through every single day. This sets women back, in my view. It just sets women back. And she ought to be ashamed of herself. No amount of money should be worth that amount of humiliation. Because that's what it is.
It sets women back, and it sets black men back. Him dressed.
Oh yeah,
makes
us look. Listen, don't judge us by Kanye.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So, a mouthful of bronze or titanium, whatever it is. What kind of toothpaste do you use? What kind of mouthwash do you use? Can you imagine when he rolls over?
Listen,
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Power 96 says that he wouldn't mind if that white woman was Candace Owens.
Yeah. Exceptions can be made.
Yeah, I guess so. And listen, who knows what she does to keep her spot.
Mhm.
Shanae said the mouth smelling like loose change. Everybody's got it today. Everybody's coming prepared today. So Austin, we got to talk about this. We've been talking about the Super Bowl, but we got to talk about this. This is infuriating to no end. Let me just say what Angela Connolly wrote before we go into this. But she says, as setting an example, these young girls will submit to a man in the same fashion, role model failure.
Yes.
But this is so infuriating. And Travis Kelce jokingly stated why this is infuriating. So this New York Times did this whole article, big article too. It wasn't a small little piece or whatever. Obviously, I don't want to call it a think piece because obviously the New York Times didn't think, but the New York Times is starting to become and someone pointed this out, and I had to go look for myself just to confirm for myself, but they're becoming and I think they're doing this on purpose to try and save themselves. They're becoming the Fox News of print, which is disgusting. Because they're now like going hard on Joe Biden, Democrats. They're going soft on the conservatives and Trump and this and that. But headline title: they'll take the Travis Kelce hairdo. And they went on to explain the buzz cut fade, as they said, and how people are now mimicking Travis with the fade. They claimed basically the article leads you to believe that they had never seen the fade before. And so anyway, it's a black thing naturally. As people were quick to point out, the black community forever has had the fade. The military forever has had the fade. So in a discussion with his brother, the now retired Philadelphia Eagles, Jason Kelce, they were joking about it. In hair-related news is what Travis said. Jason says, it appears the New York Times has credited Travis with inventing the fade. This is ridiculous, Travis says, before reacting. And he goes, oh my God, what? This is what it said, that I invented the fade? He said, I had more barbers attack me for not even having anything to do with this. And then Jason goes on to even ride him more and say, you invented it. But here's really, Austin, where I'm getting at. And what's even more infuriating, the New York Times knew this when they published this. This is what Travis says. What better month to credit a white man with
Yes.
inventing the fade than February, Black History Month?
Yes. Yeah. That was that was strategic. That was intentional by the New York Times. No matter the skin color of the person who wrote the article, um, uh, he or she knew that was not that they were printing a lie and crediting him with the fade. Hell, 30 years ago when I had hair, I had a
Mhm.
fade. I'm sure you had a fade. Most of us had fade. I got my first fade when I was in my freshman year of college in the fall of '79,
Yeah.
and came home. Walked off the plane, and my dad looked at me and said, "What happened to your hair?" And I said, "That's the style." And he said, "You didn't run out of money with the barber, and he didn't finish cutting your hair." Like, Dad, that's the style. Stop insulting me. I just got on the ground. No, but
So-
seriously,
yeah,
for the New York Times to do
that's ridiculous.
a story on fades, even in the lifestyle section, is I think unbecoming.
Well, actually, I'm corrected. Jason was the one who said, "What better month to credit a white man with inventing the fade than February?"
Okay.
Obviously, referring to Black History Month. But right, I mean, either one, whether it's Jason saying it or Travis saying it, the fact is they had a laugh about it,
Mm-hmm.
and really, I know they didn't mean any harm, but the fact is that's what the New York Times was doing
Yes.
when it all boils down to it, right?
Yeah, that's the kind of nonsense you expect to see in the the New York Post,
Right.
a gossip paper that it's not always on adhering to facts. Most times, not adhering to facts. This is the kind of nonsense you would expect to see commentary on or a story on Fox News, but not a reputable news publication.
And Shanae says this, and I'm sure you would have done this, Austin. She says, "What happened to reporting on the history of the fade?"
Thank you for Black History Month.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is probably what I'm going to do starting today. Report on the history of the fade. And Power 96 says, "I rocked a ball fade from 96 to 2016. Now I have locks. I bet the New York Times will not tell me anything." And Southbound 3000 says it right. The point is, Black folk continue to be marginalized.
Yes.
And it's just the way it is. The way they want it to be. We heard at the top of the show, Greer played the whole Tom Hanks thing. And they do it. They knew what they were doing.
Yes. Yes.
They knew what they were doing. And they of course, their cover is, well, he's in the Super Bowl, and Super Bowl happens to be in February, blah, blah, blah. I will say this about the Super Bowl. It's so interesting. So interesting. They did the Black National Anthem, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lift Every Voice. And at the end of each end zone, painted on the end zone, was hashtag end racism, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't now, and Pat Mahomes is a Black quarterback, right? But it's so interesting to me. It wasn't lost. Y'all mentioned, Greer mentioned at the halftime show, all Black, right?
Mm-hmm.
End racism, Black National Anthem. The 49ers were playing. The 49ers were playing. Why is that significant? Come on, y'all know where I'm going with this. Colin Kaepernick lost his career.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Took the San Francisco 49ers to the Super Bowl, lost his career because he was the first to say Black Lives Matter.
Mm-hmm. 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 During the Trump administration. Yep.
And the NFL, this is why people, and I'm not going to go too hard on this. I'm not going to go hard on it at all. But this is why a lot of people, when Jay-Z did that deal with the NFL, had a problem with Jay-Z. Because the NFL is a hypocrites.
Mm-hmm.
So hypocritical. Bunch of hypocrites.
Yeah. And, yesterday, morning, as I mentioned, I just wanted to have a good game, got that. And, my mom and sister who live in Philadelphia, they were rooting for San Francisco only because San Francisco beat the Eagles 2 weeks ago. But I was saying, yeah, I'm going to root for the underdog, San Francisco. Then I remembered the connection with with Colin Kaepernick. I said, well, I can't go for them. And then as I was eating lunch, I was thinking, well, you can't just blame San Francisco, but the entire NFL league.
NFL.
Because nobody picked him up. And now I remember for the first, 2 or 3 years after he was released from the 49ers, he was doing these, talent videos, that he was sending around, trying to basically market and sell himself. And to my knowledge, he doesn't do that anymore. So here's an example of a young, talented brother whose career was stopped. In large part
played in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And never to be reignited, at least on that level. At least when Muhammad Ali stood up for himself and for Black people by protesting the war, the draft. He did come back. So he was a champion before, and he came back and regained his title. But unfortunately, this is not going to happen. Only for bending a knee and protesting police brutality. In part.
And there you have it. Oh well. And now moving over to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Mary J. Blige, Eric B. and Rakim, A Tribe Called Quest. Can I kick it? Yes, you can. They are all on the list, along with Lenny Kravitz and others, for the 2024 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They're nominated for the Hall of Fame. It's so interesting. Also on the list is Mariah Carey, Cher, Dave Matthews Band, Foreigner, Peter Frampton, James Addiction, Kool and the Gang is on that list, Sinead O'Connor, and Ozzy Osbourne, and of course the great Sade is on the list of nominees, among the list of nominees for this year's Hall of Fame induction. The decision will happen, or the voting, or whatever takes place, will happen in April, and the enshrinement will happen in Cleveland in the fall. But Austin, last year, of course, 50th anniversary of hip hop, and they are now being recognized in such a way that, wow.
You look at it and you say, Tina and some of the others, what took so long? Better than late than never. But some of these folks have transitioned, and I'm a firm believer in letting people smell the roses as opposed to presenting the roses,
pushing them up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, man, what a list. It's really good to see the acknowledgement, because again, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, the name has become so misleading. Rock and roll is not. It's popular music Hall of Fame, really.
Yeah.
It's popular music, and there's no more popular music. Hasn't been any more popular music than hip hop over the last 50 years, anyway. So, look, they are good for Eric B. and Rakim. I like seeing Eric B. on Blue Bloods, by the way. I'm hoping that his character returns when the season starts. I think the season started, or it starts this week. He's gotten, you can see his progression as an actor. He's no Cool J or Ice-T right now, anyway. Ice-T has grown into that role there. Ice-T's still not a great actor, but he's grown into that role there on SUV and LL and NCIS, and certainly no Will Smith. But Eric B is really, you can see his improvement. He's a really close friend of my brother Darren. Okay. And I would get on the phone with Darren every time I watch Blue Bloods and Eric B. I said, Darren, you got to tell him, hey, come on, you could do better than this. And then I was telling him, say again.
So I'm sorry. So these nominees, how many will actually be inducted? Is it one person per category?
No. So and there's a scenario which every single nominee can get in. The hall votes on them individually. The nominees, they vote for the nominees who should be nominated, which the stage we're at, and then they decide, are they yet worthy of Hall of Fame? And like I said, so with that said, all of them can get in. It's to my knowledge.
Okay.
To my limited knowledge of the Hall of Fame and how they do things. They don't always do things right, but Cher should have been in. Sade should have been in a long time ago. Ozzy Osbourne, he should have been in a long time ago. So I don't know about Oasis. Kool and the Gang, an argument could be made they should have been in. But the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame wasn't always this inclusive.
Have you ever been?
Yes. One of my favorite trips. We went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. My family, one of our road trips we took, and that was on the list. And we stopped and we visited the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I was raised in Cleveland, but I've never been. I don't get back to Cleveland with any frequency. But I said the next time I go, that's going to be a stop.
Yeah. It's the museum is nice. They got a great hip hop wing in there. Oh boy, it's off the chain. So you got to check it out. Austin. So by now I know you have. I don't know if you watched with the girls on Friday. We had Gria's Angels on Friday, and we talked about Monique. And then on Saturday, she was invited to perform during Katt Williams' tour. And in response to her interview with on Club Shay Shay, Greg Mathis and Stephen A. Smith went after, kind of criticized her. Now, Stephen A. Smith talks, and this, I don't know if you saw it, probably not, but it's like a half hour. He talked really out of both sides of his mouth, talked out of both sides of his neck, and made it about him. Really made it about him, oh, Kevin Hart is my good friend. Steve Harvey's my good friend. Tyler Perry's my good friend. I mean, name dropping and whatever. This and that. Okay, Stephen. Would he have done the interview different than Shannon, of course, because he's a seasoned 30+ year journalist and Shannon is not, et cetera, et cetera. But then he said this about Monique. He called her bitter. And Greg Mathis pretty much said the same thing. Called her bitter. And he tried to clean it up a little bit. Well, I don't mean bitter by blah, 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 blah. No, bitter means bitter.
There's only one meaning of bitter.
Right. And the thing about it is the call her bitter says that you missed it. You missed the entire point. She was, I would not have used that word it wouldn't have came to my mind because she didn't come across as bitter at all. She was speaking, as they say today, speaking her truth.
Speaking her mind, exactly, to which she is entitled.
She was real. And the thing about it, and she gave Kevin Hart his prompts, right? He helped me financially when I needed it. She said she paid him back with interest. But then he did the old okey doke thing, right? None of these people, as she said in that interview, none of these people they yell at her, they scream at her, and D.L. Hughley went on this rant. They never said she was lying. And she said that in that interview. Never said she was lying. And the thing about it is for Stephen A. Smith, I don't know the truth about this or that. Okay, if that's your position, why spend 30 minutes on it and then call her bitter?
Yeah.
Right? These are your friends, you name dropping. But here's the thing. Now I'm going to go another way with it, with Stephen A. This is a problem with Black, because he was saying too, before I get to my point, he was saying, Austin, that, people feel like you got to carry this because you Black, and you got to carry, and the Black community's in the uproar. And he's like, I look at it like this. All y'all saying to me that I'm a Black man, I'm supposed to be uplifting, and none of y'all got me here when I needed y'all. Yeah, blah, 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 right? But here's the thing about Black History Month. We tend to, and I understand, we tend to focus on folks like Martin Luther King Jr., folks like Frederick Douglass, and you applaud and you celebrate them. What we don't do enough, Stephen A. Smith, I'm criticizing him now, about to compliment him. 30+ years in that business. Why aren't we talking more about a Stephen A. Smith and what he's been able to accomplish? Why aren't we talking more about her? She was on the thing last night with Usher, or an Usher, or forget about even the superstars, but somebody like um, people can relate to, really relate to, not the fantasy. Not everybody. It's only one Beyonce, right?
Mhm.
Out of billions of people, it can only be one Beyonce. Out of billions of people, it can only be one Michael Jackson,
That's right.
right? Um, we know that but why do we tend to overlook accomplishments during Black History Month, like a Stephen A. Smith, right? Um, who has overcome a lot, I'm sure, to maintain. He's the highest paid guy on ESPN, or one of the highest paid. He's been able to weather all these terminations, these layoffs, and everything else at ESPN because they found him to be too valuable. As he said himself, he brings in all this money. There are other stories out there like Stephen A. Smith. They don't have the name recognition of a Stephen A. Smith. That's what I'm really getting at, right?
Mhm.
Why don't we uplift them
I
and talk
think,
about them?
I mean, Dr. King once said, I want to get the quote right, we all have the inner capacity to do good, and we all have the capacity to be great. That is, I firmly believe an innate talent in each of us. I think, to your point, Stacey, not only during Black History Month, but throughout the year, we all, including myself, can do a better job of recognizing the Stephen Smiths of the world for their accomplishments, and numerous other. I think when you think of Black History Month, you're thinking of our history. Many of us think about our history as only in the past,
Right,
as opposed to being, present.
right.
What we do today, tomorrow is going to be history. What we do on Friday, on Saturday, that's going to be history. So I think we all have a responsibility, not only during Black History Month, but throughout the year, to raise the profiles of people across all specters who
We
are
got
making setting for the most part good examples for
listen.
others.
Rashonda Tate has written
Yes, yes,
55
yes,
books,
yes.
and she's got a new book that looks to be a bestseller, right? About Hattie McDaniels. Why that's who we need to be celebrating, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
But I want to just get back briefly to Stephen A. Smith's rant, and which he's calling her bitter, and then the name dropping. He was trying to be smooth about it. We understand when you're a high profile, y'all all gonna feel like y'all homies. But
Mhm.
Monique said it best. These ain't your friends. Denzel Washington, I don't know how he feels about it now, but I know several years ago I saw him talk about this when somebody asked him about his co-stars and people like that, and insinuating that he must hang out with them. They must be really close. And he said, listen, these are people I work with,
Work with,
and
yeah.
and they're not my friends. My wife and I, we have our own circle of friends, and they're not people you know.
Like you and I do at work every day. We have our, work, work folk, work family, whatever. But then we come home the weekends, the evenings, with our inner, respective inner circles.
But these people will have you believe, like, because you'll see them, they'll walk into a basketball arena or whatever, and they'll give each other first time meeting. There's like they know each other. Hey, and they know their names because they popular people.
Right.
Stephen A. Smith dropping these names like, like, okay, Stephen, we get it, but calling Monique bitter, what is that doing to uplift the community?
It
What is
shows.
that doing to uplift Black women? And by the way, there is Malcolm X said it best. We all know the quote: the most disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person is the Black woman. The most neglected person is the Black woman. And there's a new report, Austin, the Lancet's report. It's a medical journal. And it showed that they analyzed all these homicides among among women in general, right, between the ages of 25 to 44, and they did it across 30 states, tens of thousands of people, right? They analyzed, and of course, they called information from the CDC. Black women are disproportionately murdered compared to their white counterparts.
Mhm.
In fact, the homicide rate in 2020 among Black women was 11.6 per 100,000. You know what it was for white women? 3 per 100,000.
Wow. Wow.
And so Stephen A. Smith, as Power 96 says, can have several seats. When he goes on and talk about this woman who they destroyed her career intentionally and admittedly so, and then he goes in on the fact that, oh, she secretly recorded Tyler Perry, nobody can trust her again. When you and the girls, the Greer's Angels said it on Friday. They said a hit dog will holler. And how many times have they hit this woman? And for years and years and years. Finally, as she said, and Dawn highlighted this on Friday, this transgender woman had to call up Lee Daniels and say, hey, what are you doing? And Lee Daniels, to his credit, had to look in the mirror and did. And whereas Tyler Perry, there's no evidence. Tyler Perry gets on the phone with her. Shannon confirms that Tyler lied.
Wow.
She bought receipts. Stephen A. says, I would have made her bring receipts. She bought receipts.
She brought them.
And Stephen A. is going after that. And that's what Monique said. They'll go in and say, well, why'd you do this? Why'd you record? Oh, come on. This woman was placed in the corner. What happens when you place when anybody has their back against the wall like that? They're gonna have to fight back, even if they're not the type. And so it's like, come on.
And nobody can prove that she was lying. I mean, and
nobody said she was lying.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Well, said even more pointed. Absolutely.
Nobody said she was lying. And it's like, once again, a Black woman speaks. It's like Katt Williams. Nobody ever said he was lying. But then here's the other part, and Greer mentions this. Why? I still don't know, and I'm sure you don't know. What's with her husband? The attacks, the repeated attacks on her husband. It's like they want them to break up. Why are you in there? And she's like, he's been holding her down, and she's been holding him down. Tiffany Haddish apparently went after her husband, and she had a line and a half. But that's the last thing, probably the last time Tiffany Haddish will go after Monique's husband. After Monique went in on her.
I missed that. Wow.
Oh gosh. Monique read her the right way. She said, listen, maybe Tiffany, if you had a husband like mine, you wouldn't have 2 DUIs. Maybe if you had a husband like mine, you wouldn't be involved in a child sex scandal. I mean, look. Look.
That's how she clapped back. Wow.
But again, Monique, I never saw Precious, and the reason it wasn't because of Monique. She won an Academy Award. Here's why I didn't see Precious. My sister went to see Precious. I'll never forget when my sister saw Precious, and my sister loved the movie. But you know what she said? She cried throughout the whole movie. I don't want to go to the movies to cry. I regret to this day going to see Fences. It was nothing redeeming about the movie Fences. It was a great movie, but nothing. You go out, you want to have a nice time. At least I do.
Yeah.
That you cannot have a nice time seeing Precious or Fences. Very dark. It is very dark.
I didn't see Fences, but I did see Precious. Yeah, that was it was good, but painful.
Painful.
Nonetheless.
And I know the people, these are stories that perhaps must be told, like The Color Purple. But I'm just not interested in going to spend $20-something at a movie theater. But actually, that's just a ticket to just sit there and be traumatized.
Yep.
I saw Will Smith's, was it Emancipation? The last movie he did, the last slave movie he did. I was reluctant to watch that. I didn't go to the movies to see it. I watched it with my wife and her girlfriend. And Dr. Nicole says, yeah, it's too emotional. She'll never watch it again. And that movie, although it was about slavery, there was an uplifting theme to it. This guy, what he did was amazing.
Overcoming adversity. Yep.
Yes. So give me something where at the end, at least Fences, the whole thing, Austin, I was like, oh my God, this guy's horrible. This is horrible.
Yeah.
What they was doing, what he was doing to his wife and his son. This guy was absolutely a disgusting, low life human being. And Denzel Washington played that. I tell you, and Viola Davis with the snot crying. I can't take. I cannot take the snot crying.
Not crying.
Oh my gosh.
Miss
Black America, who we probably gonna have on this show sooner or later. Okay. She did when she won Miss Black America and back in December in Atlantic City. She reenacted that a scene. It was the Viola Davis scene from Fences with the snot crying, but she didn't do the snot crying. I told her, I said, you won because you didn't do the snot crying.
Yeah.
You didn't do the snot crying. You did everything else perfect. We didn't need the snots.
Yep. Too much. Yeah, too much. What's also, if I may switch here, what I started watching, and would encourage you, Stacey and Greer, and viewers to watch if you haven't, on Hulu. It's an 8-part series, Genius, MLK, and X. And I started, I think I've watched 2 episodes, but really good about, starts off with Dr. King and Malcolm, Minister Malcolm meeting at the U.S. Capitol, that their one and only encounter, I believe, about a year or so before Brother Minister's assassination. But a really good story about the background, the upbringing, of these two giants of our struggle, of our people.
Yeah, and so again, to close it out, Austin. Yeah, we need to. I think what should happen during these Black History Months that happen, they're so short as it is, right? But is that folks? I mentioned the young lady who won Miss Black America. Folks like that, because you know what happens. We don't want to forget, naturally, because they're trying to erase the history anyway. But so we don't want to forget the Rosa Parks, the Kings, et cetera, et cetera. We don't want to. I'm not suggesting that at all. I'm saying that there should be more of people like the young lady who won Miss Black America. And this is a young lady who, what she does for a living? She's a veterinarian. Yeah. She takes care. And I found out not long ago, she was showing me, and she told me and showed me videos. She's jumping out of planes. I'm like, I ain't never jumping. I fly. Never. I hate to fly. I fly all the time. I hate to fly, but I definitely ain't jumping out of a plane. She jumps out of a plane.
Wow.
She's a little girl. I mean, little woman, I should say.
But the more, before we go, the more, Stacey, and you're hammering home this point, the more we can highlight, lesser known Black men and Black women who are, doing their thing in their respective community, the more we can inspire and establish for these young people who are oftentimes don't have role models. I can be a veterinarian. I can be a doctor. I may not be the next Michael Jordan. I may not be,
100%.
Mahomes, star football players. But these, I think we all have a responsibility to sing and to highlight our unsung, heroes. in the communities. You know, Denitra Barnes, Dr. Chavez,
Yep.
you know, you and others.
Wait, what did you say?
You and others.
When you say you mean who?
You, Stacey Brown.
Oh,
Because,
I just wanted to hear.
Because by doing this, you know, doing this show, you are highlighting, you know,
Black history,
social Black History Month, you know, news that's important to our community. So you laugh when I'm being sincere.
I know you are. I just wanted to hear you say my name. That's all. I wanted to hear you put it on record.
I had to make certain I was talking about you.
That's right. I wanted to make sure.
Yes, everybody. Stacey Brown, the legendary, renowned Stacey Brown, is an unsung hero in our community. Let's celebrate him.
Hey, how you like the beard? I mean,
I noticed it when you were
trying to be Austin.
Some of your posts. Yeah, I
I'm
like
trying
it.
to be like Austin.
Looks nice, brother. You gonna
like the
keep
beard,
it?
Austin?
You gonna keep it or you?
I don't know. My wife likes it, so that's what's making me keep it to this point because she likes that. She's always liked it,
Yeah.
right? And I've always been like, do I really want a beard? But anyway, so I make her happy. That's all that counts.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. And we can always have a happy life. What they say, if you have a happy wife, you got a happy life.
That's right.
There you go, folks. We've had a ball. Austin joining us this morning. Appreciate Austin as always. And check out Austin, Our House DC, the Washington Informer. Look, every Thursday, of course, on the newsstands, but every day online at WashingtonInformer.com. And check out all. Speaking of, it's Black History Month, but every month, every day, check out the Black-owned newspapers and media companies in the NMPA. I mean, we have so many, but we also have a group of really, really great Black talent, whether they're writing, whether they're the editors, whether they are, I mean, we have Misha on here. Misha's editor of the Washington Informer, ran into some great talent at the NMPA's conference back in Florida last month. Folks, check out your local Black newspaper, whether it's the Baltimore Times or the Afro or the Defender in Chicago, whether it's the Omaha Star, the LA Sentinel, Philly Tribune. Check us out, Atlanta Voice, etc., West Side Gazette. Absolutely. Check them out for some.
Stay informed.
Stay informed because that's Black history in a nutshell.